Hi, this is Joseph. It is Friday. It's August 6th, and today was Non Farm Payrolls. So I'm going to give you a quick review and a quick update on the Trade Copier performance. So these are the two trades that I executed with the Trade Copier today. So the total profit on these trades was combined 58 pips net profit. Again, if you're trading standard lots, that's $580 net profit. If you're trading mini lots, that's approximately $58 net profit. So very good trades, even though there really wasn't a whole lot of activity. I mean, there was some movement back up and down. I'll show you here on the charts. Other than that, though, it's just the safest trades and the safest opportunities. I just have to wait. So very often I get the question, do I trade with the news? I trade around the news. I watch the news. I'm well aware of when the news is coming out, so I'm going to watch to see if there's any kind of significant behavior that could generate some kind of a trade signal. But I have to be watching the charts at the same time, along with the point and figure. So I'm going to show you where my entry was. So I had to wait in this case. So no, I do not trade the split second that the news is released, and that's for many different reasons. And the first reason is that very often when you do it, it really depends on your broker. You can get a really, really poor fill. Your broker can slip the entry. You're just not going to get the fill that you usually expect or you typically tried for. That happens pretty often. The other issue is that when you try to exit the trade, if it's relatively quick, sometimes if you're doing it with the news and there's a whole lot of activity, sometimes they don't close your trade out where you expect it to be. So you either give back some profits, or in some cases you might get lucky and you might earn a few extra profits, but it's very risky to do that. It's very risky to trade around the news. I know a lot of people argue, back in the day when I first started trading in 2001, I used to trade the news all the time, and I made a lot of money and I also lost a lot of money. So I don't do that. I haven't done that in many, many years, and I certainly can't do it with the Trade Copier, because one of the primary reasons is that while I might get a really good fill on my end when I execute the trade, there's no guarantee that if you're using the Trade Copier that your broker is going to give you the same entry and the same exit. So for that particular reason, I have to be mindful of the fact that I have many, many different subscribers that are using many different brokers, and there's no telling what these different brokers are going to do right around the news event. So it's the safest way to go. So I'll show you what I did anyway. Regardless, we still earned 58 pips today, and I'm going to show you exactly what happened. So this move to the downside here was at the moment Non Farm Payrolls was released. That is at the same time that it was released. And then we get this little move here and it starts to go sideways and then it bounces back up. Now, again, the construction, I'm not going to get into too much detail, but the construction of the point and figure isn't really based on time. It's based on the amount of volatility that creates some kind of significant change based on how I construct this particular chart. So this chart is set up, this euro dollar chart is set up to mimic approximately a 30-minute to a 1-hour time frame. So after the news, I simply waited, and this is probably a block of time of maybe about 15-20 minutes here, and then it gets into about 25 minutes after Non Farm Payrolls is released. So you can see the activity. It kind of moves up. So let me go and get ahead and give you a point of reference here. So the low was 1783, and the high on this column is 1805. So you can see that it's kind of traveling in a little interesting range. And I know a lot of people that are inexperienced, they try to take the immediate first move in whatever direction with Non Farm Payrolls, and they jump in and they hope for the best, and then sometimes it'll reverse and turn around like this. And if it sits up there, it's not, if it doesn't go the way a lot of inexperienced traders go or expect, what they do is they just close out the trade because they don't know what's going to happen next. Well, all I have to do is wait. So what happened was it created a solidified level of support and a solidified level of resistance, and then I wait for the breakout. And it was pretty obvious that it wasn't going to go any higher, and I already knew what the expected numbers were. I could already see what the dollar was doing. So then I just had to wait for the entry. So here was my entry at 82. Now, my initial target in a situation like this, I can count using these columns and get a pretty good idea of where the count is, but it's Friday. It's after Non Farm Payrolls. Excuse me, I knew it wasn't going to go too far. So in a situation like this, and this is a method that I've been using to exit out of my trades for many, many, many years since I first started trading, I scale out at, or I trade to psychological levels. So the psychological levels would be the double zero, the 80, the 50, and the 20. So in this case, if I'm getting in at 82, I would probably target the 50. So it came back down here towards the 50. It went to about 54, 53, kind of bounced around, and you can see it started to create this solidified level of support. At that point, I knew it was pretty much over. We were getting later in the day. I'm not going to hold on to a trade too much longer in a situation like this. Number one, again, I've already seen most of the profits in this trade from Non Farm Payrolls, and I don't want to hold the position open through the weekend. I want to close out my positions at the end of the day or on a Friday Friday so that I don't get stuck in a trade over the weekend. So at this point, I just waited as it was starting to form this support level here, and I was able to get out at 56 for a total net profit on this trade, just the euro dollar, of 26 pips. Let me show you the pound dollar. So this is my pound dollar trade, and this is basically the same setup, basically the same idea that was going on. Here is Non Farm Payrolls. This had quite a bit of a more dramatic retracement on the in the opposite direction. And again, when people, I see this all the time, when they're inexperienced and they don't know how to trade non-farm payroll, they don't know what's going to happen next. If they try to short it off the initial reaction and it starts to roll back up, they close out the trade with a loss, and then they try to recoup some of that loss by jumping back in the opposite direction, and then it doesn't go anywhere, and then it starts to drop back down, and then they lose again. So then they jump in and out, and they lose like 2, 3, 4 times in a row. And a lot of other signal services do that. They're operated by people that don't have enough experience to trade around the news. So again, I'm trading with the news, but not at the split second that the news is released. I waited. So this gave me about an entry just about the same time that the euro dollar did. And here you can see my entry was at 94. My first target was at 80, so it hit 80. And then if I'm trading, remember that psychological level, if it goes to the 80, then my next target would be the 50. Well, it didn't go to 50. It started to bottom out right here, and I could see that it was bottoming out. And then on that third that third row right there, that column, that's where I got out at 62 for a total net profit of 32 pips on this trade. So again, really good trades. Again, if you're trading standard lots, you would have earned just on this one single trade alone 320 pips. If it was a mini lot, it would have been $32. So these are great trades, really good trading day. $580 total net profit with my subscribers that actually use standard lots, just with these two trades alone. So you can see the reward to risk is at least 1 to 1 on all of these trades, but in most cases it's going to be 2 for 1, and I can always calculate that every single time I use the point and figure to give me my entry and my take profit levels. Use the trade copier. I'll execute all of the trades just like this.